Hi, this is Jodi. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to show you how to make this card using some products from our new Celebration promotion. This is the 2014 Celebration brochure. There's lots of different project ideas in the front, and if you turn to where it folds out, this is the area that includes the the products that you can choose from for free with this promotion. For every $50 order you place before shipping and tax, you can choose one of these Celebration items for free. So the one I'm using today, the stamp set is called You're Lovely. I'm also going to be using the Sweet Sorbet Designer Series paper and the Decorative Dots embossing folder. So several new things on this card today. So what I'm going to do to start is take this stamp that says I think you're lovely and use some of my Whisper White scrap and some Tangerine Tango ink, and I'll just tap that firmly on the ink pad and then stamp on my scrap paper. If you notice from the sample, I'm only concerned about getting the center part. I'm going to use my 1 3/4 inch circle punch and just pop out that middle part. So I just want to line up those little dots that go around and then pop that out. And I will layer this on a little label that I pre-cut and get all my supplies out here. So I will just use my snail adhesive and put some adhesive on the back of this and put it right there on that label. So we'll set that aside so it's ready to go when it's time. This piece is Tangerine Tango, and it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to just scoot some things out of the way and pull my Big Shot in. And I want to use the Decorative Dots, I think that's the right name, embossing folder. Now what I want to do, let me pull the sample back here. I used the dots up here, but I'm going to be layering this designer paper down here, and it sticks better to the cardstock if it's flat. So I'm not going to put dots on the whole thing. What I'm going to do is stick the cardstock in so it's about halfway. It's nothing precise, just approximately halfway. But then what I need to do, I can't stick it through my Big Shot this way because it'll be just a little bit too wide. So what I'm going to do is put it in like this and put the other cutting pad on top. It'll be a tight fit, but it will work. So then I can crank that through, and then you'll see that we only have polka dots on that portion of the cardstock. So just this right here. Okay, let me set this out of the way again and pull some of the other supplies back in. So this is Sahara sand. It's 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches. And I'll use my bone folder to fold that. And then this is a piece of the Sweet Sorbet Designer Series paper. It's 2 inches by 5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead, and all the designer paper that we have is double-sided, so if you liked this pattern better, you could certainly attach it so that side is up. I'll do it this way. For some reason that looks more right side up than the other way. Okay, so before I go ahead and attach this to the card base, what I want to do is a couple of things. I'm going to take this is one of our paper doilies, and I cut it down. It comes in a full circle. I cut it down just a little bit. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of that, and I'm going to set it on here and have it go all the way to the edge right there and just set right along that line. Then I'm going to take some of our crisp Cantalope ruffled ribbon, and it's elastic, so it's stretchy and fun to use. And I'm just going to set it on here to gauge how much I need, and I'll just cut about that much more. I'll stick a little bit of adhesive right here. This is going to get covered up, so it's not going to show even if the adhesive sticks out just a little bit. So I'm going to just tack that down, and then what I'll do is take these tails of the ribbon, flip this over, and now I always put my adhesive on the cardstock rather than the ribbon because it's just hard to get it to stick to the ribbon. So I'll put that little bit there and then just fold that down into it. So we'll check, make sure it's straight. This side needs to go up just a bit. So we can reposition that quickly. And that should work. Then we'll use adhesive on the back, some in the middle, and we'll attach that. Oops, forgot to stick my scrap paper down. We'll attach that right in the center. And then the last thing on that card is to pull in what we did first, that focal point. And I'm going to pop this up with some of our Stampin' Dimensionals. Now here's another tip. Normally, at least my brain would put one here and here, but then when I stick it down, more than likely that would stick to the ribbon and kind of flop around a little bit because it's not actually connected to the card. So what I would recommend is putting your dimensionals more on the top and bottom like this, and then when we stick it down, I'm gonna just layer it over that doily a little bit. When I stick it down, it's attaching here and here, so it's just more firmly secure on that card. So a quick and creative card with this new stamp set, designer paper, and embossing folder. I used this card at my celebration kickoff party, and I let everyone in attendance make the card, but then they also did a fun envelope liner. So this is one of our medium envelopes, Whisper White, and I took another piece from the Sweet Sorbet designer paper. This is 12 by 12, and then I cut it down into 4 6 by 6 pieces. So this is a really tight fit with the envelope liner, but it's big enough to use the framelit. So I'm going to give you a little tip how to make sure you cut it correctly. So I'm pulling in my magnetic platform for the Big Shot. This is what I want to use with my framelits. You can see there's a magnetic pull on there, and that helps hold this in place. So I'm going to set this designer paper down, scoot it a little bit so you can see better. Now the raised edge here on the framelit needs to go down, that's what does the cutting, but I want to make sure it doesn't end up like this. If you notice, there's a gap right there, and I want to make sure that that little bit of a curve is cut correctly. So I'm going to make sure that's down just far enough so that it will definitely cut. Then I just need to add the top cutting pad, set that right down on there, and crank this through. It sounds terrible. It sounds like I'm gonna break the Big Shot, but it's really not nearly as bad as it sounds. So now, let me pull this over so you can see. When I lift this up, it actually leaves hardly any scrap here because it is such a tight fit. Now when I put this in the envelope, I just need to slide it right in here. Typically I fold it back like this, just give it a good crease, and then I'll take my adhesive and just do a little bit right on here, and that lets it just make sure it stays in place and doesn't go from side to side at all. You want to make sure that you don't stick it over the gummy part on the flap because that's what you want to lick to seal it. Now another way to save paper, you can see that this liner goes all the way down to the bottom, and like I said, I got 4 of them on one 12 by 12 piece. If you wanted to save a little bit of paper and get maybe 6 on one 12 by 12 piece, you could just cut it till about here, so like a 4-inch piece instead of 6 inches, and it just wouldn't go down all the way here. You would need to secure this part then with adhesive too. It's always fun to make a coordinating envelope for your handmade cards. Thanks so much for watching. For daily creative inspiration, visit my blog or find me on Facebook at Jodi Reinert Stamps.